I'm like sort of in a bit of a tizzy trying to shift gears here and get out a video. And I forgot to even do the Palo Santo, so I might just do that while I'm talking about what we're going to talk about. I made not an oracle deck, but I got some blank cards and just put on them words that were evocative to me, or that for some reason I'd noted down, or, you know, as a possible three circles, counterclockwise, around the table, the camera, the cards, the four directions I go, which always makes me smile. I mean, there's something in the ritual that's actions that could be arbitrary, except that there's an intention, which is to create a sacred space, you know, and a safe space that I can invite you in with the understanding that this is for good, for our highest good. Even the harsh messages, they sometimes come out. So I made this deck, and, you know, I thought I would talk about the idea of playing small, that we can be afraid of our own power, our own, you know, how when we played big, it backfired somehow, it alienated people, or it kicked us out of some kind of group we were in, or, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll do the oracle deck, I guess I'd call it an oracle deck. And the card on top said Stumpy. And I'm going to give you a bit of the backstory of Stumpy. It was very soon after I had separated from my husband. And because there's a card that really relates to that too that came out. And, you know, I took a financial hit in this divorce. Partly, I didn't fight for certain assets because I just thought it was not something I could live with. And, you know, my lawyer, when he figured it out, I was bumped down to his assistant lawyer, whatever, somebody newer in the firm, and I got inadequate support. And in mediation, I got hammered. I mean, the whole thing sucked. And kind of kicked off in me just create some crazy behavior for a while. And it was wild mood swings. I mean, if you haven't been divorced, I think it's usually just tower, you know. It's really has reverberations through your life that open you up to new things, that got you out of a situation probably that in one way or another. And you know, divorce can just mean the breaking up of a long-term friendship, of a partner that you're not married to, an alienation from a parent or your kid. It just can come in, you know, you lose a job because you fight with your coworker or your boss or something. And it can kick in, you know, all the moods, because it's scary. Everything gets amplified. Well, Stumpy, honestly, with this financial hit came, you know, I had less money than ever before. I had no child support. I had no alimony. I hadn't fought. I hadn't, you know, engaged in a fight for, you know, I'll squeeze this stone for all it's worth. I just felt like it wasn't like a moral high horse. It was just a lot of other circumstantial things contributed to it. So I was broke, basically. And my daughter and I she was about 6, we were in the parking lot of the grocery store. And when we came out, there was this mammoth stump on a flatbed truck. It was from the West Coast. They'd driven it it was some kids who wanted to make the point of what happens when we clear cut old growth trees. This was an old growth tree, and they'd somehow managed to get it off the, often they'll come in, the agents of development and destruction, and just clear cut. Phew. And it's terrible for the land. It causes erosion. You're killing massive amounts of trees when you might only need to take them selectively. So this was stumpy. It was just enormous. The circumference was just, I couldn't have, it was way wider than my hands. It was probably 15 feet or something like that. And so I went up and talked to them. I just said, because they were like 10 kids sitting on kids. They were in their 20s. And they said, this is stumpy. This is what was left behind. That they would have just ground into pulp. And, as I was in this slightly, another parallel plane, I really wasn't in my normal mode or my normal life. They had been on the road a long time, and they were raggedy, they were exhausted, and I said, I'm going to buy you guys lunch. And there were like 10, 12 people, and at first they said, that's ridiculous. And I said, no, I think it's, I can't do much, pay for your gas or whatever, but I can buy you a meal. And so I did. We all tromped into, I think it was the Chinese restaurant that was in the park, in that same kind of dying shopping center, and always empty, particularly at that time of day. It was like early lunchtime. And so we trooped in. I paid for everybody's meal, and my credit card, it was nuts. But it was an opportunity to play small, play it safe, retract, because so much had been, in the material world, taken away from me. And I don't think that was conscious at all, but it was like trying to counterbalance my fear of how vulnerable I was with the ability to Stumpy. Stumpy was significant, and I had no idea really why I wrote it down, but I think it's that backstory of what we do when things are taken away. The next card says husband. This is a term my sister coined for the husband who is no more. She thought ex was a really, in some ways, a harsh way of, it's like, I'll wipe this person out of my life. And she said, no, they were once my husband. I loved them enough to marry them. Now they're my husband. I don't deny the connection. It's just different now. It's something I've moved on from. And, if you share children, you sort of never really do. And even if you don't, there's this energetic, anybody we've been bonded to in that kind of connection, if it gets exploded, it's wild. It has ramifications that change your life. So Stumpy and husband, because in the divorce, no kidding, these are the cards that came out. And the next one was boomerang. I'm not sure how that will play out, but it's the thing that you send out, right, in the circle, and it comes back to you. And it's not the exact same boomerang because time has passed. And, you know, if you're into quantum physics, it's, did you even throw the boomerang? If nobody saw you throw it, did you, you know, it's just, you can kind of go down the rabbit's hole on that one. But, yeah, I don't think I'm going to take more. Yes. All right, we'll get one more. Interesting. Interesting. And you can't, you know, I crossed out the first part, but it says, give the devil his due. His due. It's due. Which in the context of not going tooth and nail for the assets, I think, and not to say the husband was the devil, but I could have become, you know, my shadow self could have come out and just been engaged in a battle. It was enough of a battle. It was an emotional battle that had kicked me into this slightly crazy state. But that's maybe one way to free yourself from the devil. In this expression, I think it means, I don't know what it means. It's one of those weird idiomatic phrases that I think it means you get out of a situation. You know, if you have to buy your way out, a situation that's toxic. So you give the toxic situation its due. You know, whatever the price of your freedom. And boomerang, maybe something comes back to you unexpectedly. The time has passed. The boomerang has made its round. First card out, 8 of Pentacles. Pentacles can speak to money, to anything of value. And maybe sometimes there's value in not going for the coinage. But this is as somebody who's mastering a craft. You know, they're making more. I guess that's part of it. You know, is what do you do to increase value or wealth or growth or any of those pentacle attributes. And that's the other thing I wanted to touch on, yes. I have a lot next to my house, an empty lot, that I have discovered is big enough to sell. I live in a town that has ocean frontage, so there are all kinds of federal regulations, and there's a minimal lot size. I thought it wasn't big enough. Turns out big enough. I can set back from the ocean, you know, so suddenly I had an asset, like the thing I gave up in order to free myself. And not just legally, but energetically or emotionally, or, you know, it was just something I had to do. Give the devil his due. Well, in this case, I might actually come into money. And believe it or not, that was caused me great anxiety. Because since that fateful day, you know, and I got inheritances when my parents died and burned through them because I was in debt, you know. So I don't know really how to have money. I don't know what it is to, you know, make enough to file taxes. Or I've done that in my life because I was working, I had to file. But now I'm a non-reporter because, so there was anxiety. You know, how will it change my status? Will there really be a net gain? And finally, I knew I just need to do this. There's something in me that's so stuck. Just do it. Do it in 3D. And this might be do the work of figuring out your relationship to wealth of any kind. That's energetic currency. Because if you deplete yourself, if you say, I'm above this, and I think as we pull out of perhaps toxic things that have preoccupied our time and our attention, we learn how to reinvest Pentacles energy in something else that's perhaps mastering our craft, like stepping into our mission, our calling, something like that. That's under boomerang. It comes back to you. And maybe tenfold, eightfold, something like that. That's my brother, I'm sorry. Okay. Interesting. We have under husband, King of Cups. This is an emotionally available person. Which I'd argue was part of the problem. Knight of Wands. Very spontaneous energy. Being moved suddenly to do something. That comes under Stumpy. And in a way, Stumpy was giving the devil his due. In the sense that somebody had murdered this tree. These guys brought the remains back. And this was a way of giving them like a wake. Like when somebody dies and you bring a casserole, or it doesn't make up for it, but it's a gesture toward, I acknowledge what you've lost, because on some level, it's what I've lost too. It seems to me, what we make more of is heart space. And it might be, an energetic exchange of profit for the ability to stay open-hearted. But I think it's a mistake to think these two are antithetical. I think we've been taught that capitalism sucks. Only the evil people fight for assets. And, that can really mess with the mind. I stayed in a lot of jobs that were a mismatch. And I probably should have gotten out faster. But there was this idea, well, it's my work. It earns me my daily bread. Maybe I need to stick with it. But Stumpy apparently is about following the impulse, which I was doing a bit too much of post-divorce. This is a grounding energy. This is a wild bing, 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 bing. It's like you're the ball in the pinball machine. Okay, and under Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Cups. This is self-love. This is personal satisfaction. This is not playing small. It's big in cups energy, in feelings. I think it has something to do with not shutting down our feelings. Like we start to get angry, but we play small. We go and bang dishes in the kitchen. Sometimes it's useful to play small when things feel explosive. But I think we don't want to clamp down on what makes us happy, what brings us pleasure, as if that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. That, you know, that's the energetic currency. Like, we don't want to stiff ourselves. We really don't. Leave a generous tip to your own self for the emotional work that you've done, right? The emotional work is a part of work. And it isn't really mastering your emotions, but it's creating more happiness for yourself and not feeling guilty about it. And I think that's what puts you into King of Cups energy, perhaps, into the active principle of love. You know, open cup. A little bit what made me take these guys out for the meal. I couldn't unbreak their hearts. But anyway, I'm tooting my own horn. But it was, you know, it was something I never would have done in my right mind, quote unquote, air quotes. I just wouldn't have. Oh, here's one on the table. Let's see. Oh, two. Okay, perfect. This is a card of scarcity, of a lack situation or mentality. But it's Pentacles energy. It's the people out in the cold that are wounded, that need refuge. Didn't fight for the house. So in a sense, this was a consequence. And I had a kid, you know, it's a little bit nuts. But that comes under King of Cups. You know, the generous of heart. This might be an influence coming into your life. This might be you stepping into that active principle of, I will take care of myself. You know, if I'm out in the cold, I will work to find value in my life, to create new opportunities, new places I can invest my time and attention. Under Knight of Wands, Fool. Wands are fire energy. They're about what inspires you, what you're passionate about, what you're drawn to do. Not because of a whole lot of analytical stuff. It's the intuition that, you know, this is worth the leap forward. Kind of the free fall. Because he's going right off the edge. And it may be a bit impulsive. I was certainly in an impulsive place. I gave maybe something disproportionate, given that I didn't know these people and I could barely afford my groceries, but it brought me more than I gave out, because it was part of my freeing myself, and partly from the mindset. You know, sometimes you let go of the mindset first and the circumstance follows. From the mindset that I was out in the cold. There were people who helped break my fall. There were people who helped break my fall in such a big way, in a Pentacles way. Who were there for me, who brought value to my life, and in a way saved my life. Okay. On Eight of Pentacles, we have Five of Swords. You know, ordinarily that's just the fight, the conflict. But on a mindset level, you know, you're not actually out there, you know, with your six shooters drawn or your sword unsheathed. It's a mindset that makes you, that puts you in a position of conflict. It can be a card of karma in a way. But it's under boomerang, 9 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles. It's certainly, if you're engaged in this, it doesn't hold a lot of that personal pleasure, you know, loving yourself. And I think there was, like, after the conflict, there was a time of the need for restoration, for kind of building your energy back up after this. And this is a card of abandonment. Could have happened a long time ago. It's Pentacles energy. Could have happened in your childhood, in a previous life, if you want to look at it that way. But it's not an immediate place you're in. I think you've left the battlefield. You see these guys in the background? They're not fighting. You know, in a way, they've given the devil his due. They're leaving the field. Because at a great cost, would they be still engaging in this, what's a mental battle? You know, any of that mind games messes with your own head as much as with the other guy. It's just hurtful. On Fool, we have 5 of Cups. Moving on from the period of grief, which is proper. It's going to happen. If you don't go through that stage, and in fact, the 5 stages of grief, somebody handily broke it into 5. I can't remember what they are, except, you know, it ends with acceptance. It ends with healing. But it's an emotional hit. You're mourning the past relationship before you take the leap forward. But this, oddly enough, if you go through it, if you don't deny your feelings, if you, King of Cups, allow yourself to feel. You know, and in fact, consider it a kind of master class. In self-love and in generosity. But this turns around. We have 2 5s, 5s in we have 3 5s. That's a whole different ballgame. That's devil energy. 3 5s. Give the devil his due. And I think if you've been engaged in this kind of situation where you're in a fight and it sucks, there will necessarily be a period of feeling, you know, my old life is no more. My Pentacles life, somehow, and I may have voluntarily put myself in this place, outside. It took a while to process my feelings and be ready to, you know, this is a card of trust, the free fall, a belief in a soft landing, because it's the universe that's kind of impelling you, that Wand's energy, to move, to take the leap into life itself. And this is you by yourself. Traditionally, Fool is the individual. Nobody's telling them to do this. They're not following orders. They're not being pushed off. They're cooperating with the universe to start fresh, to be brave. On Nine of Cups, Ace of Wands. Same fire energy. You know, finding your life force energy again, allowing that to sprout again. Aces speak to the self sometimes, and the opportunity for the self. And there's a do it aspect. Like, don't play small. Don't cut off, you know, don't stand on the hose of your own power, your own love for yourself, your own open-heartedness. But act on, you know, once you've determined what makes me happy, what fills my cups, how do I stay true to my feelings? And it has a lot to do with self-love. That's the basis that you act on it. If you love yourself, you can fill the other guy's cups. You can step into this energy. If you don't love yourself, if you stay stuck in the fight, if you stay stuck in the feeling that I don't have enough, how do you help the other person not play small as well? Because I think that's your, you know, as you do the work and achieve mastery in this business of open-heartedness, of not giving too much away, not overgiving. I mean, this can be a part of overgiving. It's in cups energy, feelings, and it's like, what's left for me? Well, Two of Cups is left for you. But some friendship or relationship, you know, the cups got kicked over. I'm hearing no blame in this game. I think that's James Brown. James Brown, my man. I mean, I think that's true. You know, when things get crazy, when there's a big change, a death, a divorce, you know, a job explodes in your face, your kid gets in terrible trouble, whatever it is, it can also galvanize you, you know, to do this, to begin Ace energy again. The kind of take control, Wands energy. Where am I going to go? And this is a bit of a free fall because we don't know. We intuit the time and the place when our psyche is ready to do this. And there still may be a little bit more time in the place of sorrow. But I'm telling you, it's coming, it's coming. This is a card of Aries. Maybe a timing card. Should be spring, basically. You know, spring, the leap forward. Yeah, on Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, 10 of Pentacles. You know, apparently, out of this lack, this place of lack, of feeling like you don't have enough, and maybe literally not having as much as you used to have, back to the 10. You know, this is the ability not only to take care of yourself, but the people within your reach, the people in your life. And that doesn't mean like paying their bills. It means, although when I was really strapped, that happened for me. For a time, until I got back on my feet. Well, this is not only back on your feet, it's in a place of abundance. and working your way back. Whatever it is that you invest in, invest. The yield is magnificent. Security, stability, what counts, what matters in that sense of earth energy, matter. On 5 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles, build it, create it. This is a really creative energy, and sometimes it's this kind of situation when things are taken away that really puts you into this mode. And this is getting help. With a little help from my friends, I can rebuild my pentacles, my life, my stability. It's a tripod. It's more stable than the 2. It's more stable than the 1 in the sense of, those 3 points. That's a good thing to build upon. If you're building a foundation, you don't want to build it on one thing or even on 2 things. You've got to have, like the stool, the 3-legged stool, actually you can sit on and not tip over. You're really in a creative mode, I think. And you may be playing small in that regard. You're a master craftsman. You can do this. Do it. And I'm not saying that as do it, but this is a card that suggests you have the opportunity and the wherewithal. Through self-love to share love. You won't have to do it alone. As you build none of us does, ever. We build our way back, and we need other people. We need this, for sure, our own life force pushing us forward intuitively in the direction of growth. Growth. The we card, the I card. It's almost like the cooperation between, the self and the others. Yeah, love it. On King of Cups, Knight of Cups. This is the doing of it. Knights are the doers, they're the messengers, they're the ones on the move. You put these 3 together. This guy taking action on the basis of, filling their own cup, you, them, whoever you're dealing with, to the point where, then I can do it. This is the delivery system. This is like love on the move. Love on the move. In the direction I'm drawn to. Don't go against your own grain. Go with the flow. Slipstream it. I love you guys. Till next time. Oh, let me just say, of Major Arcana, the only one on the board is Fool. The leap of faith. Till next time.